Celebrities, they're just like us. No, not really. So let's look at the over-entitled ones who've been kicked out or banned from places. First up, James Corden. The talk show host was banned from Balthazar, a popular New York City restaurant, for his alleged mistreatment of the staff that worked there. The restaurant's owner publicly called him out for his rude behavior, describing him as like the most horrific customer in the restaurant's history. He explained in an Instagram post that on one occasion, Corden was very nasty to the staff after he found a hair in his food, and that on another occasion, he flipped out on the server when they messed up his wife's order. The hair in the food moment, yeah, gross. Basically what happened was that Corden showed a hair to the manager after his meal. He allegedly demanded free drinks and threatened to write a bad Yelp review. Corden was also angry when his wife was served an omelet with egg white in it, and then again when it was remade with home fries instead of a salad. The internet, of course, had a field day with this one, and the ban was later rescinded after Corden actually apologized. Corden admitted to being ungrateful to a server, and he called the ban silly and said he still doesn't feel like he did anything too wrong. He also addressed the incident on The Late Late Show. He said, as some of you, may have seen last week, there were stories about me being banned from a restaurant. He explained that after the owner took to Instagram to share the incident, he thought about doing so himself, but decided to have a more British approach to it all and kept calm and carried on. He continued to say, but as my dad pointed out to me, he said, son, well, you did complain, so you might need to explain. Look, when you make a mistake, you've got to take responsibility. He followed that by explaining his recollection of the events that night and said he has a deep love for that restaurant and that his wife apparently just has a really bad allergy. And considering the servers got the order wrong like 3 times, that he was frustrated. He said his comments were meant to be sarcastic, but they were rude and he regretted it deeply. He said the managers were actually quite lovely about everything and even brought some champagne to the table. The incident highlighted the scrutiny celebrities face regarding their behavior in public. Hugh Grant is next. In Paul King's Paddington 2, Hugh Grant played an egocentric actor named Phoenix Buchanan, a greedy villain given to flights of narcissism. Given what Jon Stewart has said about Grant, it might not have been a stretch for him to play such a character. Grant had a bad reputation and has been taken to task by the press several times in the past for losing his temper on set. Most recently, Grant was actually reported to have yelled very harshly at a woman on the set of Dungeons and Dragons. He assumed that the woman was, a visiting executive and he was infuriated by her demands. As it turns out, the woman was an on-set chaperone for one of the film's child actors and certainly didn't deserve the attack. Now, back in 2012, however, Grant already recognized this about himself. In a 2015 interview with Vanity Fair, he admitted to throwing a tantrum backstage on The Daily Show right in front of the host Jon Stewart. He confessed saying, I did have a tantrum backstage about once a year. I have a really mega tantrum. And sadly, he witnessed one. In between tantrums, Grant seems to be decent, but he also regularly appears to be in a position where he becomes inexcusably, angry and makes unreasonable demands, of his coworkers. Of course, this was after Stewart had already called the actor out while being interviewed by Stephen Colbert live on stage at the Wellmont Theater in New Jersey. Now, according to the Daily Show host, Grant was like the worst guest he had ever had on his series, and that included some of the political monsters and dictators that he has, deliberately hosted. Miley Cyrus is banned from performing in the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic Government Commission that oversees public performances banned a concert by Miley Cyrus on morality grounds. The commission said in a statement that it took the action because Cyrus often, undertakes acts that go against morals and customs, which are punishable by Dominican law. Some critics have declared Cyrus's on-stage antics, including twerking and, doing other stuff, as vulgar. Now, Miley Cyrus's twerking has been deemed too offensive for the Dominican Republic government. The singer's Bangers World Tour, sees her actually wearing like a cannabis pattern leotard. Cyrus has also previously, smoked cannabis on stage, which is an illegal act in the Dominican Republic. So in the past, the commission has banned songs it considered vulgar from the country's airwaves. A representative for Cyrus did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and concert, organizers in the Dominican Republic didn't comment on the ban either. Madonna is up. The Alamo Drafthouse movie theater chain has banned Madonna from its theaters after reports that the Queen of Pop was texting during a New York Film Festival screening of 12 Years a Slave. Her Majesty attended attended the festival screening of Fox Searchlight's Oscar hopeful, posing for photos with director Steve McQueen. Now, during the film though, she was reportedly texting and lashed out at a fellow audience member who tried to get her to stop. According to several outlets, film critic Charles Taylor shared the following story from an audience member at that screening. It said, "Tonight at the New York Film Festival premiere of 12 Years a Slave, I sat behind the unholy trifecta of Jason Ritter, Jay Alexander from America's Next Top Model, and Michael K. Williams from The Wire. Plus, a very mysterious blonde in black lace gloves who wouldn't stop texting on her BlackBerry throughout the first half of the movie. Eventually, a woman next to me tapped her on the shoulder and told her to put her phone away. The blonde hissed back, 'It's for business, enslavers.' I turned to the shoulder tapper and loudly said, 'Thanks,' and gave her a thumbs up. The rest of the movie, I kept thinking about how I wanted to tell the blonde what a disgrace she was. During the standing ovation, the blonde ducked out and Jason Ritter turned around to make commiserating eye contact as Jay Alexander asked, 'Who was that?' Jason then looked down at the floor. His eyes got wide and he picked up an envelope and it showed it to us, Jay, and it said 2 screening tickets, Madonna. And sure enough, we looked to the side of the theater and standing against the wall in black lace gloves was Madonna, the worst person in America. The Draft House chain has had a strict no talking and no texting policy and will eject, people who violate it. So when founder and CEO Tim Lee read reports of Madonna's behavior, he tweeted a tweet that said, "Until she apologizes to movie fans, Madonna is banned from watching movies here." Now, it's unclear if Madonna ever apologized, but honestly, I doubt she cares. Last on my list, I got Janet Jackson, sister to late Michael, and queen of not apologizing. Janet Jackson says she was disinvited from the 2004 Grammys after her wardrobe malfunction scandal with Justin Timberlake at their Super Bowl halftime show that same year. In her documentary titled Janet, the singer reveals she was asked not to come back to the Grammy Awards after Timberlake accidentally stripped her during a Super Bowl performance. Now, on February 1st, 2004, a wardrobe malfunction occurred on stage at the annual NFL Championship. It might have seemed innocent enough, but the infamous moment had devastating consequences on Jackson's career. Jackson was on stage performing, a medley of her hits when fellow pop star Timberlake made a surprise appearance to perform a duet. The pair sang Timberlake's hit Rock Your Body when, at the final line of the song, the former NSYNC member actually pulled off a part of Jackson's costume. Timberlake was supposed to pull away the bustier to reveal a red lace bra. Instead, the garment malfunctioned and the singer exposed Jackson's bare chest instead. Now, the Together Again singer's chest was broadcast to the world with only a small shield to cover her modesty. It was shown for less than 1 second before CBS cut the shot. Though it was, mere milliseconds, Jackson's, partial nudity triggered a wave of outrage across conservative America. It was aired to an audience of around 150 million viewers around the world, and the Federal Communications Commission received more than 500,000 complaints about the performance. The public pearl clutching over Jackson's chest would almost end her career. Janet's ex-boyfriend at the time, Jermaine Dupri, also added, that he quit his role as a member of the Grammys board, after he learned of the injustice. Janet and Dupri actually dated from 2002 to 2009, and he said, "I felt like they were disrespectful to Janet and I resigned at that point." Previously, the Huffington Post reported that Timberlake was allowed to perform after he tearfully apologized for the incident. The CBS chief executive, according to sources, was furious that Jackson didn't make an apology to him. Consequently, Jackson's music career began to suffer. Her songs and music videos were blacklisted from MTV and CBS as per the instruction of parent company Viacom. Now, the cultural impact of Jackson and Timberlake's performance was monumental. The inventors of YouTube even credited the incident, as one of the reasons they launched the platform. The moment also triggered a years-long debate and culture war about, misogyny and the unfair treatment of Jackson. Well, that's it for now, but do you think these celebrities deserve this? Let me know your thoughts. I'm your host, Ashley. It's been great catching up.